All right, so for this tutorial, we are going to go over doing a public profile for a user. So far, we've touched on doing a dashboard for a user, uh, post comments, the comment widget, the component for posting a comment, um, and we've done a couple of onboarding pages. But now we're going to go ahead and set up the public profile that other users will see when they tap on a user inside the app. So what I'm going to do, I could build this page from scratch if I wanted to, but since it's going to mimic the user's dashboard to a certain degree, then I'm just going to clone the dashboard and rename it and use it as the public profile. Now, granted, I could just use one page as both for the authenticated user and for their public profile, and then use conditional logic to hide certain things. But for ease of use and kind of keeping those two things separate, we're actually going to do two separate pages. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the dashboard, put it up under here under user pages, and then we'll rename this as public profile. Okay, so now that we have public profile in here, we can get rid of some of these things that the public profile won't need, such as that upload button. We can get rid of the menu options here, and we're going to we'll leave that column there for now. Let's get rid of this, and we're going to get rid of this as well. So we'll just be working within here. And we're not going to need the the nav bar at the bottom, so we can shut that off. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to toss an icon in here, an icon button as a back arrow. It's not lining up perfectly. Make sure we get that in there, and change the color to white. And then we'll change the icon to a back arrow. Downsize that just a little bit and set its action to navigate back. All right, and we don't need this icon button here. And you'll see when I removed it, it puts a standard button in there, and the reason it does that is because I have an end drawer on this page since I duplicated the pages, so I actually want to delete the end drawer from here. So I'm going to go down through here and find the end drawer, wherever that's at. There it is, and we'll get rid of that. Oh, I'm gonna have to delete it. Okay. All right, so now we have a good spot to work with here. So the way that I want to set this up, so I need to excuse me, I need to add a name here for the user that they're viewing. I'm going to add a follow and an unfollow button, and I'm going to put a message button in here, even though I don't have private messaging set up for this app, and I don't intend to set that up on this app because that's kind of a separate thing to work on. I'm still going to have a message button in here anyway. And then underneath that, I'm going to do a tabbed menu, and we're going to have this user's posts, and then another tab to show this user's market and the things that they have for sale. So let's start up here first, and let's go ahead and we need to set a page level parameter as a user reference. So once we set up other parts of the app, there will be different places throughout the app where a user could tap on another user and go to their public profile, which would then pass the parameter of that user to this page. But we don't have any of that set up yet on other pages, but we still need to be able to work with the user reference parameter. So we're actually just going to create it as a page level parameter on this page. It'll already be there. So we'll do a user reference tag, and we'll set that as a document reference to users. And so now we have a page parameter that we can work with here. And so I'm going to query that as a page level query, and document from reference, which would be users, and then we'll use that page level parameter to reference. And now it can fill their data in. So this background image, we would want to change that from the authenticated user to the user's document here. Oops, not their photo URL. We want to do banner image. And same thing with their profile. Change that from authenticated, and we'll change it over to the user and profile or photo URL. Okay, so that's looking correct now. So now we need to put a name in here for that user, which we're going to do that on the stack. So I believe that I will do let's do a row. I think that's what I want. Okay. So let's see here. The top of this sits at 100. It has 90. So let's do. Okay. So maybe 175. A little low. Let's do 160 and see. It's a little high. So maybe 170 would put us kind of in the sweet spot. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so 170 will work, and then we'll bump this over a padding a little far. Let's do 125. Yeah, that'll work. All right. So let's put some text in there for their display name, and we'll set that as the user's display name here, and you can change some of this around if you want to. And we'll actually decrease that some since we can see what it looks like now. Okay, cool. There we go. That'll work. All right, so next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and set up our follow, unfollow button and our message button. I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of this column because I don't need it. Not yet anyway. And so we want to go up in here to our top level column and add a row. Got that row there now. Let's drop this down. Do 65. Let's go up a little bit more than that. We'll do 45. And we'll indent this by 12 on either side. And we will set it to, let's do space evenly, I think will work. All right, so now let's add a column. And let's add a button. Now for this button over here, it's going to be our message button, so we'll just go ahead and set it. It's not going to do anything since I don't have messages set up in here, but we're going to have it anyway. And we'll reduce the size of that. We're going to change our color over to something. All of my colors that I've been working with aren't in here anymore. That might be it. Yeah, that'll work. So we'll set that as our message button. And then over here, we're going to put a button there. And then we're going to duplicate that button. These are going to be our follow buttons. So for the first button, we'll set that as follow. And change the color here to that, and then let's do this as unfollow. I think I'm going to actually get rid of the background entirely on that. Change the text color to this blue. And then we might, let's see, I do want to change the font size down, 14. And we'll do, we do want to get rid of the loading indicator here. Almost forgot to do that. And then let's do a border color. We'll do that. Okay, there we go. So we'll leave those stacked like that on top of each other. Now we need to do some conditions on these as well as our actions. So let's go ahead and do the action first on the follow button. So we'll go to Firestore and we'll do update. And we're going to update, first of all, the user whose profile we're looking at here. And then we're going to do users following me. And we're going to add the set, and then we'll add the authenticated user to that set. And now we actually need to go into the action flow editor here because we've got to add some other actions. So we'll add another action, do an update document, and we're going to update the authenticated user this time. And then we'll add users being followed. We will add to set the user whose profile we're looking at. And then if you want to, you can add a snack bar here, kind of an indicator that you followed them. You show snack bar. You could set that as a variable if you wanted to, and then you could do a combined text and set this as, say you followed, and then you could put that user's display name in there if you want to. Maybe like do a explanation. Exclamation point there, and then there you have it. So let's copy this action chain. So there's your follow, and then let's do our unfollow. Paste those actions in there and just switch them around. So from users following me, we'd actually remove from set. Users being followed, we'd remove them from set. And then you would just change your text to unfollowed. Okay. So that's how we set that up to perform that action. Now we need to set our conditional visibility on this. So let's go in here. And so the first condition that we want to do is, let's go to authenticated user, and we're going to look at users being followed. We'll do list contains item, users document, the user profile that we're looking at. And then we're going to set that to the opposite statement, so that so long as the this user's profile, their user ID is not in the users being followed list, then that button will show up. Okay, and then we can just copy this variable and put it over here in the unfollow button. Set that, paste, and then we can leave this turned off. So the unfollow button will show up when the user that's being followed is included in that list. Okay, so that's set up the way you want it to be set up there, and you could actually hide that if you want to, so you can kind of see what it'll look like in the actual app. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to set up a tabbed list down here. Tab view or a tab bar should be this. Now if I try and drag this in and drop it in right now into the column, it's going to error out on me. As you can see, went totally blank, red line around the box. You don't want to do that. Let me reset it. And let me get back to that page that I was on. Drop a tab view into a column that is currently set to scrollable. Because the elements within the tab view are going to scroll independently of the rest of the page, and the tab view as a whole cannot be scrolled up and down with the page. So you actually want to turn this off. You don't want that top level column to be scrollable that you're going to be dropping the tab view into. So now we can stick that in there and it'll work. And we're gonna put a little bit of space between the top there. And you can see it gives you 3 tabs. I don't want all of the tabs. I only need 2 of them. So I'm going to go down through here, and I'm going to get rid of this one. And then I'm going to get rid of this text box, and same thing over here. And then this is going to be posts, and this one will be, we'll do for sale. So let's edit our label styles real quick before we move on. Okay, so now that looks a little better. All right, so what we want to do now is we want to fill out this with the posts, and for the sake of not just duplicating work I've already done here, I'm actually going to go back over here to my dashboard, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab this list view and I'm going to copy it and go back into my public profile, and I'm going to paste it in here. And then list view, we will change our backend query. And we want to do the posted by reference equal to, we don't want it to be authenticated user, we want to change that to this user that we're viewing. And then we can leave the rest the way it is. Okay. So you can see here that this scrolls independently of the rest of the page. So that's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. And we can actually set that as primary. Okay. And then obviously we want to go through here and change this information. So we don't want that to be authenticated user. We want it to be that the user profile here. Same thing with their photo. Oops. And all of this should be right. Just double check it and make sure that it's still set up correctly here. But everything else should be filled out in here correctly. Okay. So yeah, so all that looks good. So something we do need to add in though is a like button, since this is no longer the authenticated user's profile. So we can just we can duplicate, and then we can change that to an unfilled heart, and we'll make it gray, or kind of a black color. And then we can add an action on that. We can update this post document here. And increment by 1 on the likes. And liked by users, we will add to set the authenticated user. And then I'm just going to copy this action and throw it in here on this one, and then just reverse things. So we'll paste that action, we'll decrement instead of increment, and remove instead of add. And then of course we need to set our conditional logic here. Let's see here, post document. And we want liked by users. This contains item, authenticated user, reference, and set that to opposite, confirm, and then go back in and copy it. Don't copy before you confirm, it'll close it out. And paste that in there. Okay. All right, so all that looks good, and we can get rid of that. Don't need that in there. And I think, no, that's right. I think it was over here. This possibly needed to be changed. Yeah, I explained this in a different video as to why I needed to change that. Okay, so that's taken care of. So now it's displaying this user's posts, so we're good to go there. We haven't set up a market yet. We haven't really worked on the marketplace side of things, so there's really nothing to put here as of yet. But the rest of this is set up. So there's one last thing that I want to do. We're going to give each user a little bit of customization capability for their public profile, and that is that they will be able to customize the color of their buttons, some of the text in here, and then we'll do the social feed post box, being able to change the color of that. The background will stay static as white. It will not be editable by the user, but they will be able to change this forward facing box here, and then the colors of maybe the text here and these icons. So something I had set up off camera here, off the tutorial in the users, I had added some color fields, color 1, 2, and 3, and I set those data fields as color. Select data type, you just select color, and then name it whatever you want to. And so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to have color number 1 as the social post. So right now it's just white, as you can see. And so what I'm going to do is this fill color, I'm going to set a variable for it, and I'm going to go to this user that we're looking at, and I'm going to set that as color 1, and then I'm going to change the default variable as white, so that it'll be white unless they change it. Although that's the button color. Let's do primary background. Okay, so now when we set up the settings and the profile editing and everything like that for a user, they'll have the option to be able to change the color of this background. And then for text, we will we'll do the same here. Set text color, user. We're going to set that as color 2. And then we'll do the default as just kind of this gray color here. And then buttons, we will set fill color, let's see, our user document as color 3. And we'll set the outline, border color, we'll set that as color 3 as well. And variable will be this. And we'll also set the text color as color 3. And the text color on here, we'll actually set that as, what did I set this as? Color 2. So we'll set the text color on this one as color 2. And default will be white. And then this will be color 3. And the text color will be color 2. Default is white. Okay, and then we want to change this text color. We want to change that to color 2. doing here? User. And I'm not going to change the defaults on those. Oops. We'll change this to color 2. Change that. And then icon, probably set that as like the button color. So that'd be color 3. This be color 2. Color 3. And we'll leave that as red, and we'll set this to color 2. Okay, so now that'll give the, and we're not gonna change anything here on these colors. We'll just leave them as is. So that'll give us some ability to allow the user to customize their public profile. So as a matter of fact, we'll let them customize their app bar as well. And we'll actually set that as, let's do it as color 1, so it'll match the background down here. And then as the default, we'll just have it as like this gray color. Okay, so that's pretty much it for a user profile on the public side. Whenever we get marketplace stuff set up, we'll come back and do some more work on here. But that's it for this profile, or for this tutorial. Sorry.